I want to thank everybody for joining us today, and I want to make a quick introduction for SourceScrub. So I'm Donald Sung. I'm the head of capital markets at Finalis, and I think if you're on this call, you know that here at Finalis we are building a network of independent investment bankers that can provide leverage to each other and to the network. So we're doing a lot of exciting things at Finalis to help our bankers get more business and to close the transactions faster. And to that end, we're putting a lot of emphasis on sourcing quality deals and providing execution support. So we're at this time, we're very thrilled to announce a new partnership with SourceScrub. And we're going to go into this in a lot more detail, but SourceScrub, for those of you who don't know, is a quality deal sourcing platform for investment bankers to find more deals with tech-enabled tools and deal data. It really is a great complement for Finalis to help our partners get smart on new business opportunities, new industries, to map the segment more clearly and thoroughly, and to find targets that others are missing. Gain insights that other bankers don't have in the private company ecosystem. So I'll hand it over to the team from SourceScrub to go over their offering. And again, thank you for joining today.
Thanks, Donald. Charlie here with SourceScrub. We're extremely excited about the partnership, and thank you to everybody for joining and spending some time. For those who are going to be listening on the recording, everything that we show here today will be sent through to the Finalis team, and you folks will be able to access it and consume it on your own time. I think the goal today is to try to keep this short and sweet. I'll introduce our services and our platform with a quick little deck, and then actually show the platform in action. We'll keep it at the 30,000-foot view, and then to Donald's point around the partnership, if folks are interested in learning more, Finalis customers have incentives and discounts in place that they can use to purchase a SourceScrub license, and my team will work with those customers directly who are interested. So we're extremely excited about the partnership. Without further ado, I will tee up a little bit of a deck, and bear with me, guys. All right, hopefully everybody can see my screen. Let me just get the presentation mode on. Cool. So for those who are unfamiliar, Donald's great introduction. We're SourceScrub's a deal sourcing platform that specifically was started with a primarily of a focus in the private equity space. But since 2015, we've actually expanded. We've got roughly 400 customers. 50% of them are in the investment banking space, big, small, medium-sized, buy-side, sell-side mandates, folks who are trying to do post-transaction marketing, source a deal, track their pipeline, with the goal of, to Donald's point, provide tech-enabled services to help people's lives become easier and create repeatable processes around deal sourcing and that whole ecosystem. So I think for us, what we're hoping to help the Finalis customer segment do is avoid things like these. And primarily what we're hoping to do today is kind of walk you guys through various use cases. I think the first being, we're really trying to make it easy for folks to see more possibilities. So in our world, that's finding founder-owned businesses or bootstrap companies that you may not be seeing in a pitch book or through your own networks. And then when you do, giving you all the tools to screen them, make sure that it's quality information. And we'll talk through a little bit more about how we do that. And more importantly, for the folks on this call, we know the Finalis customer segment, right? They're busy folks, right? They may be traveling around the country. They may be short-staffed or low on bandwidth in terms of finding the next deal. So, hey, you found one, you just closed the deal, but now I got to spend 1 to 2 to 3 months getting the next one, how can SourceScrub help you prioritize the information and make quick decisions? And then ultimately, our job is to help you engage with these companies. And so everything that we do is designed to kind of put more of like a direct sourcing cap on your belt to help you go outbound, maybe talk to a founder or meet a company in person at a conference or a trade show with information that we offer, all of which, right, is to help you hopefully win more deals. I think one thing, right, that my team hears all the time, we were just at DealMax in Vegas, is, right, the market is uncertain, right, it's changing every day. But one thing's for sure is that, right, given the market dynamics and the bigger fish starting to swim more downstream to find companies, right, folks need ways to stay ahead, maintain their competitive edge, and frankly, just try to get a little bit creative and change up their workflows or processes for things that have worked in the past and add on new things to augment that. So our goal, right, is to be matching you all with private company data specifically. So we find that most of our investment banking clients, right, they may have access to a pitch book or a Cap IQ, maybe even other different legacy data sets, or they've frankly got really strong networks in their specific industries. But we are hoping to give you access to specifically this 5.2 million founder-owned company segment that maybe folks aren't seeing right now. And I'll talk you guys through that a little bit. The second sort of, frankly, biggest unique identifier for us, and thus the name of SourceScrub, is these sources. So 140,000 lists that our research team is scrubbing and handcrafting to make sure that if you guys are trying to go to an industry conference or access a buyer's guide or a trade show list, an association, an events, any sort of event or conference where companies that may be flying under the radar that you don't know about may be presenting, we'll give you access to those as well. And then ultimately, we know in the data game, anything that has to do with a database is that if the information isn't right, we're wasting your time. So the goal for us is that there's no such thing as a perfect database, that doesn't exist. But we are going to talk you guys through different ways that we're screening these company profiles and actually providing you like transparent information for you to understand, hey, is this a profile that our research team, our 800 folks offshore, have actually manually scrubbed and looked at? Or is it information that we're getting from scrapers or AI or machine learning that may be incomplete, but at least gets you access into the company website or something that you may not see? So there's tons of ways that the platform's hopefully giving you signal to tell you what's right or maybe what we're uncertain. The idea is just to give you as much access as we can. And once we do, meeting you where you live in terms of consuming your data. Is that a CRM? If so, we have, I think, close to 7 different integrations and partners in that network where we can help you consume the data. If not, we've got different browser extensions and tracking and notification that can get to your email inbox. So that way you can reach out to a founder quickly. And ultimately with quality, right, think of SourceScrub as sort of the best of human in the loop machine learning. So we have the research team offshore that aggregates information, QAs it, make sure it's right, checks websites, LinkedIn, things like that, so that you feel confident the information's right. We also have a world-class engineering team that supports that model with AI and machine learning and different scraping tools to make sure we're giving you the widest possible view, and we combine the view together. So again, I'll send over the deck so everybody has access to it, and your team will have access to the SourceScrub team to learn more. But I think ultimately, final piece on the positioning sort of pitch here is think of SourceScrub as some sort of like this circular motion, this pie chart here that can kind of meet you wherever you may be in your deal sourcing process. So, oops, excuse me. Here we go. So, right, if you're more at the top of the funnel, hey, you just received a mandate or you just closed the deal, and you're now looking to start a new one where you're kind of starting from scratch and you're thinking, hey, like maybe it's a new industry or a new segment or it's extremely competitive. We're going to try to give you ways to like target and prioritize things, get you started on a search that right expands your worldview, helps you understand companies you may not be seeing. And that's sort of the first step. Step number two is once we do that, we are extremely confident that we can help you foster these relationships. So whether it's giving you the information 6 months in advance to go meet somebody and shake their hand at a trade show, or right, just providing the C-suite contact information for you to go reach out yourself. Like I said, we work with hundreds of bankers who are new to the direct sourcing game, and they use our account services team to give them coaching on what's the right way to send an email and how many times should I send it, right, in terms of trying to get someone's attention. My sales team does that all the time, and we may have even sent some emails to folks on this call already. So we'll help you build relationships, and then ultimately, right, the idea is to keep this wheel moving. So we want to make sure we're helping you track it, get the news and signal and alerts, and make sure you're staying on top of things. So I'll pause there. This is the end of the deck. Thank you for bearing with me. I'm going to switch over to the platform now. But any initial questions, feel free to pop them into the chat, or we can make this interactive and you guys can shout out on the screen if you have them while I'm switching over. All right, take the silence is a good thing. The Finalis team, feel free to chime in if you think there's anything I missed, but I'm going to pull open the SourceScrub platform right now. Oh, hey, Shing, good question. Question was, will you share the same data to multiple vendors? The question, so it's a yes and no. The platform that I'm pulling up right now, all of our customers have access to it. So that in itself is, as a customer, everybody's able to consume the same amounts of data. But in terms of lists that you're building or different things that you're doing in the platform, we have industry-leading sort of security and privacy built into the platform. So there's no sharing in terms of who's doing what. Obviously, like given our customer segment, everyone's completely very, very competitive with each other. So we're not sharing any of that. We do actually provide access to our research team as well. A lot of our smaller bankers or just M&A professionals who are short on time, who don't want to do manual research, they can access our research team and send them lists, which again are not made publicly available. If you want to keep that stuff private to you, you'd have access to that. But great question. Can folks see my screen here, the SourceScrub platform?
Yes.
Great. Thank you, whoever that voice was. Can't see people's faces. So yeah, here's the platform. And like I said, if you're interested in doing a longer demonstration, the Finalis team will send out the email registration link to get a demo. Typically, those demos and what we'll do on those calls, maybe 30 to 45 minutes in total. My sales team will work with you to maybe understand your thesis, try to get a sense of like what you care about as it relates to companies you're looking for, and then coach you on how they would use the platform in your shoes. So I'll do a little bit of a high level today to just give you guys an overview, but our sales team is extremely well qualified to just kind of talk through the use cases and make sure that you guys are seeing everything that we have to offer. So I think the first thing to start on the SourceScrub platform, if you follow my mouse, is to the left-hand side here. If anybody has used a database before, you'll be familiar with the concept of filtering. So I'm not going to get into this in detail today. Frankly, it's table stakes in the data game for vendors to be able to help you cut through the data. We have a bunch of conviction around some of our segments like products and services or end markets, or maybe even our investor data or conference intelligence. We think we've got some great filters that our sales team can talk you guys through more that are unique, but it's all customizable that you can cut through. I think the biggest focus for us to start is out of these roughly 15 million companies, the reason why bankers will choose to purchase the platform and buy a seat is getting access to this 5.2 million bootstrapped founder-owned business. So for us, where we've focused our attention, both our research team and our AI and ML sort of modeling, is we want to sort of park our car primarily in this founder-owned universe because we know that information is tough to find on these companies. And when you do find it, it's really hard to keep track of it. So the SourceScrub business has been built with a focus on this founder-owned universe. And so that's sort of reason number one that folks are coming to us and saying, hey, we'd like a license. We just need to act, but we feel like we're missing stuff from PitchBook or CapIQ or our networks that we're just not seeing through other vectors. Second piece is over here. If you follow my mouse to the right-hand side, it's this sources. So these are those 145,000 plus lists. So these are pre-scrubbed. They're for you to access and cut through a conference maybe in your neck of the woods. I was on a call earlier today with a banker who's in Los Angeles who's looking to meet manufacturing companies in person, right? We did a quick search and he could see over the next 6 to 12 months, are there any trade shows coming through his neck of the woods? So he doesn't have to hop on a plane and spend a bunch of money, right? He can hop in his car and meet them where they are. So we'll give you access to those two things. And just primarily showing you how that might work, let's flip over to the sources tab to start. So if I'm in your guys' shoes and I'm running a small boutique, independent investment bank, right? One of the first things I'm going to try to do is just focus maybe where my competition isn't. And for anybody who isn't a SourceScrub customer, they don't have access to these 140,000 lists. So here is just a quick search that I ran in saying, hey, I'm based in San Francisco. That's our HQ. We have offices in New York and Chicago. And some folks in DC as well. But I just want to see, hey, what types of industry conferences are in my neck of the woods? And maybe, right, if I'm trying to find something in manufacturing, because that's my thesis, or maybe that's my my end market, my goal, great. SourceScrub's got a list, looks like only one company, so maybe not a great place to start, on conferences in my neck of the woods that I might be able to go to and start off. All these companies, any company that you find on the system, if I just click into a random one here, will have, think of it as your general overview. So location, description, where we found it. So in this specific case, Litmus Software, they've been featured on 125 different lists. And as we think about ways to give bankers like yourselves competitive advantages, it's this right here. So we can say, hey, we like this Litmus Software company. Let's go find others like it. Great. I now have 125 sort of mini market maps that I can start aggregating, sorting through, cutting through to be able to find information that might be relevant to me. If there's publicly available financials, we'll grab that as well. We also provide a revenue estimate, with the keyword being estimate. As everyone knows, if you're a privately held company, this stuff isn't public. I'm sure folks on this call have spent hours and hours and hours of time trying to track down this information. And if it's wrong, you're down the rabbit hole of having wasted a bunch of it. So we use an internal algorithm to try to calculate it. And we provide an estimated revenue for folks to be able to filter and sort off of. Similar companies, this is our algorithm surfacing, companies that may be similar. And then what we've got off of LinkedIn and their website. So CEO, top of the org chart, email addresses, employee count, things for you to be able to access the company and news as well. So, right, the key here, as we talk about, is like screening, targeting, creating lists and things that are repeatable. Right, so one thing that our team would coach you on how to do on a demo or just show you in a longer call is, right, if I wanted to go out and find companies, this isn't having to reinvent the wheel every time. So if I'm looking for circuit board manufacturing companies, we'll create a quick search. Maybe I just want to find stuff in the US that's privately held. And better yet, I want to use our, let's let the thing load here. Here we go. And better yet, I want to use SourceScrub's research team. So those 800 folks to be able to manually vet everything. You'll see I have this profile plus toggle on, which means that our SourceScrub team has manually verified up to 7 data points on the profile as being accurate based on their human check. Great. I've got a list of 348 potential targets, but as we know, not all those companies are going to be in our thesis. I just want to start knowing and tracking these businesses to maybe report on in a pipeline meeting or get notified anytime something changes. So, right, I can save searches like these down. I can tell SourceScrub to sort of be a little robot working for me in the background that says, hey, every week, tell me about a company that meets my criteria. Or, right, if the circuit board manufacturing use case continues, I can tell SourceScrub to update me anytime something happens that gives me maybe a leg up on my competition to either get a conversation or frankly, like know if I should qualify it or unqualify it. So I can tell SourceScrub to say, hey, tell me if there's a new company on my list that gets added to a source, or they hire a new C-suite executive. Or like the Finalis and SourceScrub relationship, maybe they just announced a partnership and that's all over LinkedIn or their website. Maybe that gives me a good reason as a deal maker to reach out and get myself introduced. So think of SourceScrub as a way that you're going to be able to track, get notified, hopefully help you with warm intros. We also know, right, for bankers, like everyone on this call, you all are extremely experienced, well qualified, know your networks, know your industries. You may not even need SourceScrub to find new companies, but you may need its help tagging and like aggregating information. So we work with tons of clients who will send us their pipeline. So again, all this stuff is private. No one's seeing target lists. Right, SourceScrub, you may tag a company. Let's say, right, it's Peter's tag. You want to create a way for you to track companies. And then similarly, we could tag all those businesses in SourceScrub, create that same subscription motion where any company that you're tracking that's tagged in SourceScrub, you may get a news or an alert that says, hey, they hired someone or they're presenting at a conference, something to help you stay top of mind and aggregate it. Similarly, if you wanted to do post-transaction marketing, we hear that a ton. So oftentimes folks are coming to us and saying, hey, we don't need help finding a deal. It's like we just did a deal and now we need to market it out. We need a good, clean way to do so. Right. So keeping with the circuit board example, let's say I wanted to send an email to everybody on this list to just notify them of the deal that I just did in the circuit board space. If you use a CRM, in our case, we use Salesforce, so you can see Salesforce is embedded here. But if you use DealCloud, HubSpot, Affinity, MadeMarket, we have a bunch of others that I can list out, right? I could just search this list that says, hey, show me everything that's not synchronized to Salesforce. Great. And then maybe I just want to save down this information as a CSV, which has the contact email address. And I can send a mass email notification either direct to my email automation tool or just directly to Outlook by just copy and pasting the email addresses over. Or if there's companies that you're finding through your triage here in SourceScrub, I could select a couple and just tell SourceScrub to say, hey, just Charlie, put this in Salesforce. I want to add the contacts from this record into Salesforce directly. I want to allow I think a certain level of syncing. SourceScrub has, again, hundreds of clients who do these integrations, and we have an account team that has tons of insight and tribal knowledge on how to connect the systems together. So if you're unsure on, right, how do I do that, or what's the value of the CRM, our team has a ton of experience on helping to design and get the systems to talk to each other directly. Going through my list here, I think last piece, and then I'll pause it for questions. I was told to keep this to 30 minutes, and we're looking at 12:28 Pacific. So the final piece is we do track deal data as well. So I know for bankers who are looking to understand the space, just similar to using a pitch book, and they want to know what deals are happening, really similar interface, right? So we can track and say, hey, I want to be understanding everything in the automotive space and the deals that are happening there. Here's a list. And then similarly, I can save that search down just like we did on the company's record. to get notified. Hey, maybe it's every week or every month. All the new deals that are being done in the automotive space, I can do that by location, by different investors, different rounds, all that good stuff. But either way, we give access to our customers to be able to track deals and see who's doing them, and also hopefully potentially find new ones. I will pause there, and it looks like there's a couple questions on the chat that I will get to here as we go. Any questions live on the webinar before on anything that I just showed here today that I can double click on, since we have a few minutes before I touch on the chat? For the Finalis folks who are on, I know some folks here have seen the tool in action, others have not. If there's things that I didn't touch on in the demo today that you think that would be beneficial for the recording, do chime in, let me know. Otherwise, I'm just looking at the questions. So the first one, it says, please speak to the investors tab. Thank you, John, for the question. So here's the investor tab now. So this is the investment data. So this will be, again, we're pulling deal data from, we use an outside vendor to aggregate anything that's publicly available, whether it be a company website, press release, blog post. We're tracking deals and funneling them through this investment tab. For the investor data itself, I lost the question. Right, you could track individual portfolios. So if I wanted to see, we're owned by Francisco Partners. If I wanted to just see deals that they've done, I can do that similarly here. But yeah, either way, you can track both investments like publicly available deals, or you can search by specific portfolios. Great question, and we could, if there's other portfolios that you want to search through, we can also do that on a longer call. Good question there. The question from Christy is, where does the company information come from? These stats like revenue, dollars raised, etc. So again, great question. Similar piece, we use sort of a combination of the AI and the ML, sort of machine learning models, to scrape publicly available information. So let me just pop open a company here. So everything you see here is either scraped off the website, the LinkedIn page, whether you find it in a PR sort of publicly facing release, or our research team. So those folks that I mentioned earlier, or they have QA'd it and gone to the website and found it where the AI has not. So think of SourceScrub as combining the best of both worlds and trying to sort of surface up the information that's right. Similarly, right, for things that you see here, like a description or a specialty, that's our human research team actually handwriting these things based on what the AI and the algorithms find. We've often found that, like, doing things by codes or identifiers, like a NAICS code, it's fairly gating, and it's difficult, right, to be able to, if your company doesn't have a certain code, you may be lost in the woods in terms of finding it. So we try to aggregate and handwrite different keywords that you can be able to search, that we could show on a longer demo. And then from a revenue perspective, if it's privately held, right, we'll give an estimate. If it's not publicly available, right, you'll see here we haven't seen anything for this company, but we'll update it as we go. Great question. Question from Thomas on the pricing. So I'll send over the information. If you go to our website, it's sourcescrub.com, and then I think it's backslash pricing, excuse me. We have 3 different packages. So think through any sort of software, sort of typical SaaS model. It's an annual subscription. The 3 packages are gated and scale based on just how much data you want to consume, right? So there's a crawl version that gives you less data. There's a run version that gives you the whole Monty and the all-you-can-eat buffet. Everything comes with the data that you've seen here today, but just in certain different qualities. The pricing, right? Well, for everybody on this call, everyone will receive, I think it's a 15% discount across the board for any of the different packages. And right, it's typical, it's over 5 figures. So I think the rough I would expect to spend anywhere like north of 10 grand, 10 to 20 grand on a single seat, depending on the package. And then you'll work with our sales team to understand which package is good for you. And we'll apply the Finalis discount across the board to that and make sure that you guys get the special rate to come on, as we are obviously hoping to make sure this partnership is fruitful. And then I see one other question here from Xing, which I think I got to that earlier in terms of sharing the same data. We do not share anybody's searching or private information.